Socialization process. From this chapter, one or two questions are asked regularly in seated exam. Focus topics of this chapter are concept, types, and agents of socialization. Concept of socialization. Socialization is a term used by Socialization is a term used by scholars to refer to the lifelong process of inheriting and passing on norms, customs, values, and ideologies by providing an individual with the skills and habits necessary for participating within its own society. So, socialization is a term used by scholars to refer to the lifelong process of inheriting and passing on norms, customs, values, and ideologies by providing an individual with the skills and habits necessary for participating within its own society. It is the process by which children and adults learn from others. Learning from others starts from the earliest day of the life, and the majority of people continue social learning throughout their life. However, some of the most important socialization occur in infanthood and childhood. The child performs his or her unique and effective roles in society when it is appropriately socialized. Socialization is a term used by sociologists, social psychologists, anthropologists, political scientists, and educationalists to refer to the lifelong process of inheriting and disseminating norms, customs, and ideologies, and providing an individual with the skills and habits necessary for participating with his or her own society. So, socialized term is used by sociologists, social psychologists, anthropologists, political scientists, and educationalists. Various socialists have defined socialization as follows. According to J.J. Macionis, the lifelong process by which an individual becomes a proper member of society and develops human characteristics. According to P.B. Horton and C.L. Hunt, it is a learning process in which group interacts and learn social norms, also developing themselves. According to W.F. Ogburn, it is the process of learning the norms of the group and society. According to R.M. McVer, it is the process through which social beings develop relationship and association with each other. According to E.S. Bogardas, a process of learning to live and work together is called socialization. On the basis of the above definition, we can understand that socialization is a learning process through which an individual adjusts himself in the society and fine-tunes his role and position in society. Types of socialization. Socialization can be divided into two types. There are follows. Primary. This is important for a child because it sets the groundwork for all future socialization. It occurs when a child learns the attitudes, values, and actions appropriate for a member of a particular culture. It influenced most by the immediate family and friends. Secondary, this refers to the process of learning the appropriate behavior as a member of a smaller group within the larger society, which is reinforced by socializing agents of society other than the immediate family. Secondary socialization is usually associated with teenagers and adults. It takes place with outside home. For instance, school and colleges require very different behavior from the homes, and children must act according to the rules of school when they are there. Factors influencing socializations. Social interaction. Interacting socially in the family, neighborhood, and school, as well as with friends, classmates, and the community, is an organized psychological process characterized by imitations of others. This means copying someone else's behavior in our own style, which develops unique aspects of our personality. Suggestion by others. Suggestions may be conveyed through language, pictures, or some similar medium to the child. They influence the child's behavior with other as well as its own private and individual behavior. Sympathy. This helps the child to empathize with others and helps it to initiate conversation. Identification. It is in its early stage, most of the child's actions are random, natural, and unconscious. As the child grows, it realizes the nature of things which satisfy its needs. Such things become the object of its identification, like the mother, a toy, or a picture book. Through identification, the child became sociable. Language, it is the means of cultural transmission and social interaction. At first, the child utters some random syllables which have no meaning, but gradually it comes to learn its mother tongue. Erik Erikson mentioned 8 stages of life, including adulthood, in each of which the individual faces a special crisis or challenge and moves from one stage to the next when the crisis is resolved. 8 stages of life mentioned by Erik Erikson. Stages range of ages, crisis or conflict or challenges, important events, activities, outcome of success or failure. Infancy, birth to 18 months. Trust versus mistrust. Important events, feeding, love and care. Activities, the parents' nourishing ability and care for the child due to visual constant and touch is emphasized. The child will develop optimized trust, confidence, and security if possibly cared for and handled. If a child doesn't experience trust, it may develop insecurity, worthless, and general mistrust to the world. Early childhood, 18 months to 3 years. Crisis, autonomy versus shame. Important events, control coordinations and toilet training. The child learns to control and coordinate his muscles, walk, talk, appropriate and understand different gestures, and also learn to control its natural process. The child will develop autonomy and sense of independence if successful, but if feels ashamed, it condemned by its parents for doing something wrong. Preschool, 3 to 6 years. Initiative versus guilt. Important events, obedience and exploration. Activities, the child becomes a member of the family as a whole and enters school. It learns to obey their adults besides its parents and teachers. Develop a sense of equality with peers, play games, handles equipment and fit in the new routine of a school day. The child will develop a sense of purpose if successful, but failure will lead to a feeling of guilt. School age or later childhood, 6 to 11 years. Industry versus inferiority. Autonomy and skill acquisitions. The child changes from a dependent person to full autonomous status. Here it begins to acquire skill through education that will prepare it for adult roles. If successful, achievement values develop due to parental emphasis on competence and autonomy for a child to solve problems and success on its own. Failure will make the child feel inferior and incompetent. Adolescence, 11 to 18 years. Identity versus role. Development of values. This marks the transitions from childhood to adulthood. The person experiences many biological changes. Peer groups enormously influence socialization. At this stage, individual must have a clear idea about their own beliefs and values. The individual develops conventional values of society and identifies with it. If successful, failure leads to role confusion. Young adulthood, 18 to 35 years. Intimacy versus isolation. Development of relationships. Individuals seek companions and love. Some also begin to settle down and start families. They seek deep intimacy and satisfying relationship. The individual develops intimacy and satisfying relationship if successful. Loneliness and isolation may occur if the individual is unsuccessful. Middle childhood 35 to 65 years. Generative, generativity versus stagnation. Work and family responsibilities. Career and work are the most important thing at this stage, along with family. At this time, people can take on greater responsibilities and control and work to establish stability. Success leads to a sense of achievement and of having made a difference to society. Failure will result in a feeling of stagnation and a feeling of the meaningless of life. Maturity 65 years to death. Integrity versus despair. Reflection on life. The physical and psychological problems associated with menopause get coupled with the sad feeling of departure of the children from home, resulting in discontinuity of roles. Among men, the transitions from active adult status to retirement is often more traumatic, especially in the transition involves a drastic loss in economic status. When this retirement is accompanied by relative poverty and deprivation, older people experience a loss of identity and personal worth. Maturation is the process of predetermined unfolding of genetic dispositions. Successful people feel a sense of achievement. Failure leads to regret, bitterness, and despair. Thus, the stages of socialization show the socialization is a never-ending process starting with the birth of a child and continue till death. Agents of socialization. Socialization of an individual occurs through its interaction with various agents during its lifetime, and these include the family, the peer group, the school, the mass media, among others. The family. This is the primary agent of socialization for most people, especially in the first 5 years of their lives. The family provides the child with his first social contact with the world, and through it the correct pattern of behavior are internalized and learned. Learning occurs informally, and the right or wrong behavior is approved or rejected through reward and punishment. The school. When a child reaches school age, it starts to within its socialization cycle. The learning is more formal in school. Talents are evaluated on the basis of standards and requirements. The school helps the child to adapt to the social order functioning to prepare the child for a stable adult life. The school imparts certain technical and intellectual skill as well as the cultural heritage of society, so that the individual is able to integrate its society. The peer group members are usually children of the same age and have similar status. For instance, a child who enters standard 1 in school and finds itself in a class of children of the same age might become friendly with only some of them, yet the whole class constitutes its peer group. However, as the child grows up, it starts to choose its own peer groups based on common interest, activities, similar income level, and status. The peer group affects the individual in such issues like appearance, lifestyle, fads and fashion, social activities and dating, drugs, attitude to sex, and technology. The mass media transmit information in an impersonal manner, which is all the time conducted in a one-way flow. Mass media also harms its audience and receivers, because by concentrating and stressing on certain topics, the media can create, manage, and control impressions of what should be seen as real important as per norms. Media is also responsible to show gender appropriate ways to behave gender appropriate ways of behavior to public. Role of play in socialization. If children do not play, they cannot develop creativity, which is very important in education. Play is a key element in the process of socialization of children. As Barnard 1975 stated, play is the principal business of childhood. Education must take into account the modern problems of children and their understanding of the play process. Currently, the types of play and games are changing. As generations are changing, play is changing too. Historical aspects of play in socialization. Historical artifacts and documents prove that children have been playing since ancient times. Toys have been found in the ruins of ancient China, Egypt, Babylon, and other civilizations. The aspect of play and its value in the socialization process has been of interest of child psychologists, educators, and scientists for generations. Parton 1932 identifies that the following labels of plays as part of the maturation process of children. Solitary play. This means playing without regarding involvement of other children in the room or playground. A child may build a tower with blocks yet be oblivious to other nearby children. Character play. As the child play, it observes other children in the same area. Often this child will begin to model its play on another child. After watching another child, it may alter its own play. Even though a child may appear to show little interest, but he is observing others playing. Parallel play. This form of play consists of several children playing with the same material. But each is playing separately. For an example is using puzzles. Child may converse with others but work independently. If one child leaves the group, the play continues. Associative play is important in which a loosely organized game is decided upon. For instance, children may run around the room pretending to the aeroplanes or cars. There are no definite rules or roles. Even if the child decides not to play, the other continue. Cooperative play. This is the form of play in which children assume assigned roles and depend on the others for achieving the goals of the play. For instance, the child want to play house, they need others to participate in the roles of one or more partners and several children. If one of the key players decided to drop out, the play episode will most probably end. Today, scholars and theories about early childhood education see play as developing well-being, creative thinking skill, and cognitive development. As the child plays, all factors of development are developed. Motor, cognitive, and socio emotional development are increased as the child participates in play experience. As the children engage in play, the need for variety and competence all come into focus.